This is the sound of a life being destroyed. June 3rd, 2021, 2:47 p.m. The penthouse suite of the Hanam Tower in Seoul, South Korea. A routine cleaning shift. A woman doing her job. And then a door she wasn't supposed to open. 3 seconds. That's all it took. 3 seconds of seeing something she shouldn't have seen. 3 seconds that would make her a prisoner in a gilded cage. 3 seconds that would force a Korean Mafia boss to make an impossible choice. Let her go and risk everything, or keep her close and lose himself. Her name is Jane Thompson, 29 years old, British-Nigerian, and this is the true story of how she became the most dangerous person in Seoul's criminal underworld, not because of what she did, but because of what she saw. But to understand why she couldn't leave, you need to understand why she was there in the first place, and why 6 months later she still hasn't left, even though every door is unlocked, even though she's free to go, even though she's terrified of the man who won't let her leave, and terrified of how much she's starting to trust him. Seoul, South Korea, June 2021. A city of 11 million people where the ultra-wealthy live in towers that pierce the clouds, and the people who clean their homes remain invisible. Foreign domestic workers, thousands of them, from the Philippines, Indonesia, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Ghana. Women who travel halfway across the world to scrub toilets in penthouses worth more than their entire villages. They're essential and they're ignored. The perfect contradiction. Jane Thompson understood this contradiction better than most. She'd arrived in Seoul 14 months earlier, not because she wanted to, because she had to. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, raised in London. Her mother was Nigerian, her father British. She grew up between two worlds, never quite belonging to either. Mixed race in a world that demanded you pick a side. Too black for Britain. Too British for Nigeria. She'd studied hospitality management at university, graduated with honors, dreamed of managing luxury hotels, creating experiences where everyone felt welcome. Instead, she cleaned them. The recession hit, job market collapsed, her student loans came due, her mother got sick, cancer, stage 3. The NHS covered treatment, but not the experimental drug that might actually save her life. That cost £50,000, $65,000, money Jane didn't have. She saw the ad online, domestic workers needed, Seoul, South Korea, high-end clients, excellent pay, housing included, discreet. That last word should have been a warning, discreet. But desperation makes you ignore red flags. The agency flew her to Seoul, put her up in a dormitory with 30 other women, mostly Filipina and Indonesian, a few Africans. They worked 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, cleaning homes and offices for Korea's elite. The pay was good, better than she could make in London. She sent every spare pound to her mother's treatment fund, watched the number climb slowly, painfully slowly. By June 2021, she'd saved £38,000, £12,000 to go. 6 more months, maybe 8, and her mother could get the treatment. 6 more months of being invisible, of bowing when clients walked by, of pretending not to understand Korean when they said cruel things, of cleaning up for people who had more money than they could spend, while she counted every penny. Jane was good at being invisible. She'd been practicing her whole life. But invisibility only works if you stay where you're supposed to be. If you don't open doors you're not meant to open. If you don't see things you're not meant to see. On June 3rd, 2021, at exactly 2:47 p.m., Jane Thompson stopped being invisible. And she would never be invisible again. The Hanam Tower, 120 floors of concentrated wealth in the heart of Seoul's most exclusive district. A single apartment in this building could cost $15 million. The penthouse floor, where Jane was assigned that Thursday afternoon, the penthouses there didn't have prices. If you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. Jane had been cleaning the tower for 3 months,
Different apartments, different floors, always the same routine. The agency gave her a key card, a list of tasks, and one simple rule: never disturb the residents. If someone's home, come back later. But the penthouse on the 118th floor, Suite 11801, was supposed to be empty. The resident, according to the schedule, was away on business, some tech CEO. The agency didn't give names, just numbers. Suite 11801, clean Thursday afternoon, 4 hours, don't touch the office. Jane arrived at 2 p.m., let herself in with the key card. The apartment was massive, 5,000 square feet of floor-to-ceiling windows, designer furniture, art that probably cost more than her mother's cancer treatment. She started in the kitchen, gleaming marble countertops that had never seen actual cooking, a refrigerator stocked with expensive champagne and nothing else. She cleaned methodically, living room, bathrooms, bedrooms. By 2:45, she was ahead of schedule. The apartment was pristine, barely needed cleaning at all. That's when she noticed the office door. It was slightly ajar, maybe an inch, light coming from inside. The rules were clear: don't touch the office. But the door was open, and Jane was raised to close doors, to leave things tidy. It was automatic, muscle memory. She walked to the door, reached for the handle, meant to pull it closed. Instead, she pushed it open and saw something that would change her life forever. Time does strange things in moments of crisis. Scientists call it tachypsychia, the perception that time has slowed, your brain processing more information per second, trying to make sense of what you're seeing. Jane experienced 3 seconds as 3 hours. Second 1, a man on his knees in the center of the office, hands bound behind him, duct tape over his mouth, eyes wide with terror, blood on his shirt. Second 2, another man standing behind him, expensive suit, gun in hand, not Korean, white, European maybe, face calm, professional. This wasn't his first time. Second 3, a third man sitting at the desk, Korean, mid-30s, beautiful in a dangerous way, sharp cheekbones, eyes like winter, watching the whole scene with an expression of mild boredom. The man at the desk saw her first.
Their eyes met, and Jane's brain finally caught up to what she was seeing. She was witnessing a murder. She gasped. The sound cut through the room like a scream. The man with the gun turned, saw her. His hand moved, redirecting the weapon. No. One word from the man at the desk, voice like ice. The gunman froze. Jane couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process. The man at the desk stood slowly, adjusted his tie, walked around the desk with the casual grace of someone who'd never been afraid in his life. He stopped 3 feet from Jane, studied her face. His eyes were dark brown, almost black, unreadable. "You're not supposed to be here," he said in perfect English, no accent, educated somewhere international. Jane tried to speak. Nothing came out. "The apartment was supposed to be empty," he continued, more to himself than to her. "Someone made a mistake." He said this last part in Korean, glancing at the gunman, a question. The gunman shrugged. The man turned back to Jane. "What's your name?" Jane." Her voice was a whisper. "Jane." He tested the word. "You're British, Nigerian." She nodded. How did he know? "You work for the cleaning agency, Golden Star Services." Another nod. "And you came here today to clean my apartment." I didn't know anyone was home. I'm sorry, I'll leave. I didn't see anything." "You did see something. Not cruel, just factual. And now we have a problem." The bound man on the floor made a muffled sound, begging probably. The man at the desk didn't even glance at him. "What's your situation?" he asked Jane. "What?" "Your situation. Why are you in Korea? Family? Debt? Running from something?" My mother, she's sick. I'm saving for her treatment." He nodded, as if this made perfect sense. "How much more do you need?"
The question was so unexpected that Jane answered automatically. £12,000. $15,000, roughly. He pulled out his phone, typed something. Done. What? I've transferred $20,000 to your account. Should cover the treatment and leave you comfortable for a while. He showed her the screen, a transfer confirmation, to her account. He knew her bank details. Jane's head spun. I don't understand. I'm buying your silence and your time. He pocketed his phone. You're going to work for me now, not the agency. Me. You'll live here, this apartment. You'll have your own room. You'll be paid well. You'll have everything you need. I can't. The alternative, he continued, voice still calm, is that you leave right now, and my associate there follows you home and kills you. Cleanly, painlessly, but definitely. The room tilted. I'm not a monster, the man said. I don't kill people without reason. But you've seen something you shouldn't have, so now you're a liability. I can eliminate you, or I can contain you. The choice is yours, but you need to make it now. Jane looked at the bound man, at the gunman, at this terrifying, beautiful man offering her an impossible choice. If I stay, do I have to hurt anyone? No. You clean. You cook if you're willing. You maintain the apartment. You exist here and nowhere else, and you don't speak about what you saw today, ever. And if I agree, my mother gets the money? She already has it. Whether you live or die, that money is hers. I'm not holding it hostage. I'm simply offering you a choice, prison or death. Some choice. The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. I'm Jin-woo. This is my home, and if you stay, I give you my word that you'll be safe here from everyone, including me. Jane looked into his eyes, tried to see the lie, the trap, saw nothing but cold, hard truth. She took a breath. I'll stay. Wise choice. He turned to the gunman, spoke in Korean. The gunman nodded, grabbed the bound man, dragged him out of the office through a door Jane hadn't noticed. Jin-woo turned back to Jane. Your room is the second door to the left. Unpack, settle in. We'll discuss the details later. He paused. And Jane, welcome home.
I got a bonus. A big one. Get the treatment, Mom. Please, as soon as possible. But sweetheart, this is too much. Promise me you'll do it. Promise me. I promise. But Jane, are you all right? You sound strange. I'm fine. Just tired. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. Jane hung up, sat on the bed, started to shake. She'd saved her mother's life and sold her own. That night, she didn't sleep. She lay in the expensive bed in the beautiful room in the apartment where she'd witnessed a murder, and she tried to figure out how she'd ended up here. At midnight, there was a knock on her door. Come in, she said automatically. Jin-woo entered. He'd changed from the suit into casual clothes. Black t-shirt, jeans. He looked younger, almost normal. You haven't eaten, he said. I'm not hungry. You need to eat. He set down a tray. Rice, soup, simple Korean food. I made it myself. It's safe. Why would I think it's not safe? Because you're smart, and you don't trust me. You shouldn't. He gestured to the food. But you do need to eat, and this is safe. I promise. He turned to leave. Wait, Jane said. That man, the one in your office, is he dead? Jin-woo paused at the door. Yes. Why? Because he betrayed people I'm responsible for protecting. People died because of his betrayal. So you killed him? I had him killed. There's a difference. He looked back at her. I know what you must think of me, but the world I live in has different rules. In my world, betrayal has consequences, always. And what world is that? One you're now part of, whether you like it or not. He started to leave again. Mr. Kang, Jin-woo, if you're going to live here, use my name. Jin-woo, how long do I have to stay? He was quiet for a moment. I don't know. until I'm sure you won't run to the police, until you understand that what you saw was necessary, until—" he trailed off. "I don't know, but you're not a prisoner, Jane. All the doors are unlocked. You can leave any time you want. And then what? And then I have to protect myself, which means protecting my organization, which means killing me? I would regret it, but yes, honesty. Brutal, terrible honesty. Eat," he said quietly. "Sleep if you can. Tomorrow we'll talk about the rules." He left. The door closed. Jane looked at the food. She was starving. She hadn't eaten since breakfast. She picked up the spoon, tasted the soup. It was delicious. She hated that it was delicious. She ate everything on the tray. Days became weeks. Weeks became a month. Jane developed a routine. Wake at 7 a.m., clean the apartment, though it barely needed cleaning since Jin-woo was ridiculous. Make breakfast. Jin-woo worked from home most days. Endless video calls in Korean and English, and sometimes Japanese. She learned to be invisible again, to move through the apartment like a ghost, to anticipate his needs before he asked. Coffee at 9 a.m., lunch at 1 p.m., dinner at 8 p.m. He was unfailingly polite. Please, thank you. Never raised his voice, never threatened. But the threat was always there, unspoken. The reality of what she'd seen, what he was capable of. She learned things about him despite herself. He was 34, educated at Cambridge, spoke 5 languages fluently. He'd inherited his father's organization at 26 when his father was killed in what the news called a business dispute. He'd consolidated power ruthlessly, made the organization more efficient, more profitable, more feared. But he didn't enjoy it. She could see that. The way his face looked after certain phone calls, the way he stared out the windows sometimes, like he was looking for an escape that didn't exist. He asked about her too, not interrogation, conversation, where she grew up, what she studied, her dreams before everything fell apart. "You wanted to manage hotels," he said one evening over dinner. He'd started insisting they eat together, said it was ridiculous for her to eat alone in her room. "I wanted to create spaces where people felt welcome, where they felt seen, valued, regardless of who they were or where they came from. An idealist, a realist with hope. There's a difference." He smiled at that, a real smile, the first she'd seen. "I like that, a realist with hope." They fell into silence, comfortable silence, which was alarming. She shouldn't feel comfortable with him. "Jin-woo," she said carefully, "why did you really keep me here? You could have killed me. Would have been simpler." He set down his chopsticks, considered the question seriously. "When you opened that door, you gasped, not screamed. Gasped like you were surprised, but not disgusted, not horrified in the way most people would be. You looked at that man on his knees, and I saw something in your face. Recognition, maybe. Like you understood that the world has darkness in it. Like you'd seen darkness before and survived. That's not an answer. It is. I kept you because I thought you might survive this. Being here, being part of my world without being destroyed by it. I thought you were strong enough. Was I wrong?" Jane met his eyes. "I don't know yet." Fair answer. He picked up his chopsticks again. "There's something else you should know. The agency you worked for, Golden Star Services, they're owned by a rival organization, the Choi family. You were sent here deliberately." My blood gold cold. "What?" "The scheduling mistake wasn't a mistake. You were supposed to be here, supposed to see something, supposed to run to the police or the media, create a scandal, give the Choi's leverage against me. I didn't know." "I know you didn't. You were a pawn, expendable. If my associate had killed you as the Choi's expected, they would have had a dead foreign worker to point to, proof of my brutality."
If you'd run to the police, they would have made sure you disappeared before you could testify, but not before the damage was done. So you saved my life. I prevented you from being used. It's not the same thing. Feel same from where I'm sitting." He looked at her intently. "You're not afraid of me anymore. I'm terrified of you. I'm just better at hiding it now." "Good. You should always be a little afraid. Fear keeps you careful, keeps you alive. Is that what keeps you alive? Fear? No. I'm kept alive by being more ruthless than everyone else, by making sure the cost of killing me is higher than the benefit, by—" He stopped. "Why am I telling you this? Because you're the only person you can be honest with. Everyone else either fears you or wants to use you. I'm trapped here. I can't hurt you. I can't help you. I'm just here. A witness who can't testify." He stared at her. Something shifted in his expression. Vulnerability, maybe, or recognition.
"You're not just here," he said quietly. "You're becoming something else, something I didn't plan for." "What's that?" "A person I trust." What happens when a prisoner becomes a confidant? Subscribe and stay tuned. When fear transforms into something more dangerous. When the man holding you captive becomes the only person who sees you. Jane was about to discover that some prisons have no walls, and some captors don't want to let you go, even when they should. Stay with us. 2 months after Jane Thompson walked through a door she wasn't supposed to open, everything changed again. The change was subtle, gradual, the way seasons shift. You don't notice the exact moment summer becomes fall, but suddenly you're reaching for a sweater. Jin-woo started asking for her opinion. About business decisions, yes, but also about everything else. Art, music, the news. He valued her perspective, sought it out. Jane started forgetting she was a prisoner, started thinking of the apartment as home, started looking forward to their dinners together, their conversations that stretched late into the night. Her mother's treatment was working. The cancer was in remission. Jane could leave now if she wanted, could go home to London, could reclaim her life. She didn't leave. She told herself it was because Jin-woo would have her killed. That was the logical reason, the safe reason to tell herself. But the truth was more complicated. The truth was that Jin-woo had become her friend, the first real friend she'd had in years. He saw her, actually saw her, not as a maid or a foreign worker or a racial category, just as Jane, as herself. And she saw him too, not as a monster, though he was that sometimes, but as a man trapped in a role he'd inherited. A man who'd been told since birth that he had to be ruthless, had to be feared, had to sacrifice his humanity to lead. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked him one night. They were on the balcony, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. "Taking over the organization?" "Every day," he said simply. "But regret is a luxury I can't afford. If I'd refused, someone else would have taken over, someone worse. At least this way, I can make some decisions that minimize harm, somewhat. That's a lonely way to live." "It is." He looked at her. "Less lonely than it was 2 months ago." The air between them shifted, charged. "Jin-woo, what is this? What are we doing?" "I don't know, but I know I don't want you to leave." "I'm your prisoner." "Are you? All the doors are unlocked. My men have standing orders not to touch you if you decide to go. You could walk out right now. Would you?" Jane met his eyes, saw the question beneath the question, saw his vulnerability, saw a man who'd never let anyone see this side of him. "No," she whispered, "I wouldn't." "Why not?" "Because She stopped, scared of the words, scared of the truth. "Because you feel it too," he finished. "This thing between us, this impossible thing. We can't." "I know, it's impossible. You're here because of violence, because I threatened you, because I'm everything you should hate. But Jane, you're the only real thing in my life. The only person who's not afraid to tell me the truth. The only one who sees me as human. You are human. That's the problem. It would be easier if you were just a monster. He laughed, sad, bitter. I am a monster, but maybe monsters can have moments of being human. Maybe that's enough. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, the gesture achingly tender. I should go to bed, Jane said, not moving. You should, also not moving. They stood there, inches apart, the whole city spread beneath them, a moment balanced on a knife's edge. Jin-woo stepped back first. Good night, Jane. Good night. She went to her room, lay awake for hours, thinking about the impossibility of falling for your captor. The psychology had a name, Stockholm Syndrome. She knew that, but this didn't feel like syndrome. It felt like recognition, like finding someone who understood the specific shape of your loneliness. She was in love with him. The realization should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like the first honest thing she'd admitted in months. The next morning, everything fell apart. 7:47 a.m. Jane was making coffee when she heard it, the front door exploding inward, shouting in Korean, gunshots. Jin-woo appeared in the kitchen doorway. Get down. She dropped. He pulled a gun from somewhere. She hadn't even known he kept one in the apartment. Returned fire. More shouting. Then, silence. Jin-woo moved to the hallway, checked, came back. Stay here. Don't move. Don't make a sound. What's happening? The Chois. They're making their move. He checked his gun. I need to... A woman's voice cut through, speaking Korean. Jin-woo froze. A woman walked into the kitchen, 50-something, elegant, terrifying, 5 armed men behind her. She looked at Jane, then at Jin-woo, smiled. So this is why you've been distracted. The foreign maid. How predictable, Jin-woo. Mrs. Choi, Jin-woo said coldly, this is unexpected. Is it? You've been making moves against my family for months. Did you think I wouldn't respond? She gestured to her men. They fanned out, weapons ready. This is a mistake. Kill me and you start a war you can't win. Who said anything about killing you? Mrs. Choi looked at Jane again. I'm going to kill her, the woman you've been hiding, the witness to Park Min-ho's execution, the leverage I've been looking for. Jane's blood turned to ice. She's nobody, Jin-woo said, a maid, irrelevant. Then you won't mind if she dies. She's under my protection. Ah, so she is somebody, Mrs. Choi smiled. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me 40% of your operations, the ports, the trade routes, everything, or I'm going to kill this woman in front of you, and then I'm going to kill everyone you've ever cared about, slowly. You don't have the resources, Jin-woo said. I have allies, Russians, Chinese, people who are tired of your moral flexibility, your weakness, your ridiculous attempts to go legitimate. They want someone ruthless in charge, someone like me. Jin-woo's hand tightened on his gun, but he was outnumbered 5-1. They both knew it. Think carefully, Mrs. Choi said. Your empire or her life? What's it going to be? Jane watched Jin-woo's face, saw him calculating, saw him doing the math, saw him about to sacrifice everything he'd built. For her, she couldn't let him do that.
Wait, Jane said. Both of them looked at her. I have information about Jin-woo's operation. Everything. Bank accounts, shipment routes, police contacts, everything. Jin-woo's eyes widened. Jane, don't... I'll give it to you, Jane continued, looking at Mrs. Choi. In exchange for both our lives, full immunity, safe passage out of Korea. You get everything you want without the war. Mrs. Choi studied her. You're bluffing. Am I? I've been living here for 2 months. I see everything, hear everything. Jin-woo trusts me, tells me things. I know where the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. Jane, stop talking, Jin-woo said quietly. Why would I trust you to deliver? Mrs. Choi asked. Because I want to go home, to London, to my mother, and Jin-woo won't let me leave. This is my way out. You get your leverage, I get my freedom. Everyone wins. Mrs. Choi smiled slowly. Interesting. Jin-woo, your pet, has teeth. She's lying, Jin-woo said. I don't tell her anything sensitive. Then you won't mind if I test her. One question. Answer correctly and we have a deal. Answer wrong and you both die. Mrs. Choi leaned forward. Where is Kim Tae-young? Silence. Kim Tae-young, Jin-woo's second-in-command, the only person he fully trusted, who disappeared 3 weeks ago. The organization thought he was on assignment. Jane knew the truth, because Jin-woo had told her during one of their late-night conversations, had needed to tell someone, had trusted her with his darkest secret. She looked at Jin-woo, saw the betrayal in his eyes, saw him understanding what she was about to do, saw him not forgiving her. Jane turned back to Mrs. Choi. He's dead. Jin-woo killed him. He found out Kim was selling information to the Japanese Yakuza. The body is buried at Jin-woo's father's gravesite, under the third cherry tree. No one knows except Jin-woo and the man who helped him bury it. And now you. Mrs. Choi's eyebrows rose. Proof? Check the gravesite. The earth was turned 3 weeks ago. You'll find the body. Mrs. Choi pulled out her phone, sent a text, waited. The longest 3 minutes of Jane's life. Mrs. Choi's phone buzzed. She read, looked up, smiled. Well, you weren't lying. Impressive. She gestured to her men. Let them go. We have what we need. Mrs. Choi, Jin-woo said, voice like granite. If you use that information, you'll what? We both know you can't touch me now. You're exposed, vulnerable, and your precious witness just handed me everything I need to bury you. She looked at Jane. You're free to go, Miss Thompson. I suggest you leave Korea today, before Jin-woo decides you're more valuable dead than gone. Mrs. Choi and her men left. Silence. Jane and Jin-woo stood in the kitchen, the coffee maker still dripping, the morning sun streaming in, everything normal except for the bullet holes in the wall. I had to, Jane said. She was going to kill us both. You betrayed me. His voice was empty, hollow. I told you that in confidence, and you sold it for your freedom. To save your life. I didn't ask you to save me. I would have found another way. There was no other way. She had you. So you gave her everything. Do you understand what you've done? Kim Tae-young's death was the one thing keeping my father's old guard in line, the proof that I'm still capable of ruthlessness. Now Mrs. Choi has leverage over me. Now I'm weak. Now... He stopped, turned away. I'm sorry, Jane whispered. Get out. Jin-woo, I said get out. Out of this apartment, out of Korea. Go back to London, to your mother, to your life. You're free. Isn't that what you wanted? Not like this. Out. The word echoed. Final. Jane ran to her room, threw her things in a bag, hands shaking, tears streaming. She'd saved his life and destroyed everything between them. She left without saying goodbye.
Jane Thompson was free. Finally free to go home, to leave Korea, to escape the man who'd held her prisoner. But why couldn't she get on the plane? What she was about to discover would reveal the real reason she'd been kept in that apartment, and the real reason Mrs. Choi wanted Jin-woo destroyed. The truth was closer than she imagined, and more dangerous than either of them knew. Don't look away. Incheon International Airport, Gate 23, flight to London boarding. Jane Thompson sat with her boarding pass in her hand. Freedom, finally, everything she'd wanted for 2 months. She didn't get on the plane. She told herself it was because she needed to make sure Jin-woo was okay, that Mrs. Choi wouldn't kill him now that she had leverage. But the truth was simpler and more terrifying. She couldn't leave because she'd realized something. Something that made her blood run cold. Mrs. Choi had known about Kim Tae-young. She'd asked specifically about him, tested Jane with that exact question. But how? Nobody knew except Jin-woo and the man who helped him bury the body. Unless someone had told her. Someone close to Jin-woo. Jane pulled out her phone, started searching. News articles about Jin-woo's organization, about the Choi family, about the power struggle in Seoul's underworld. She found a photo from 3 months ago, a charity gala. Jin-woo in a tuxedo. Next to him, smiling for the camera, Kim Tae-young. And in the background, barely visible, Mrs. Choi, looking directly at Jin-woo, expression calculating. 3 months ago, before Jane arrived, before Kim disappeared. She searched deeper, found Kim Tae-young's obituary. Officially, he died in a car accident 3 weeks ago, but the obituary mentioned he was survived by a sister who worked for Golden Star Services, the cleaning agency, the one that had sent Jane to Jin-woo's apartment, the one owned by the Choi family. Jane's hands started shaking. This wasn't random. None of it was random. Kim Tae-young had been selling information to Mrs. Choi, not the Yakuza. Mrs. Choi had known Jin-woo would find out, had known Jin-woo would kill him, had planted Kim's sister in the agency, had sent Jane to that apartment deliberately, not to witness just any murder, but specifically to witness Kim's murder, or someone connected to the investigation into Kim's death. Mrs. Choi had orchestrated everything. The scheduling mistake, Jane's presence, Jin-woo's reaction, all of it. And Jane had played right into it, had stayed, had gotten close to Jin-woo, had learned his secrets, had become exactly what Mrs. Choi wanted, leverage. But there was something else, something that didn't fit. Mrs. Choi had seemed surprised by how much Jin-woo cared about Jane, had called her the woman you've been hiding, like she hadn't known about their relationship until today.
If Mrs. Choi had been watching Jin-woo, she should have known he'd gotten close to Jane, should have known it weeks ago. Why wait until now to make her move? Unless she hadn't been watching, unless someone else had been reporting to her, someone in Jin-woo's apartment, someone who would know every conversation, every secret, everything. Jane's blood went cold. She grabbed her bag, ran through the airport, caught a taxi, gave the driver Jin-woo's address. She had to warn him, had to tell him. The threat wasn't from Mrs. Choi's men outside. It was already inside, in his home, close to him. The person reporting to Mrs. Choi was someone Jin-woo trusted completely, someone who'd been there from the beginning. The taxi crawled through Seoul traffic. Jane tried Jin-woo's phone, no answer. Tried again, nothing. She paid the driver, ran into the building. The doorman recognized her, let her through. The elevator took forever, each floor an eternity. 118th floor. She ran to the apartment. The door was ajar. Jin-woo! She rushed inside. The apartment was silent, too silent. She checked the office, empty. The kitchen, empty. His bedroom. She stopped. There was blood on the floor, a trail leading to the bathroom. Jin-woo! She followed the trail, pushed open the bathroom door. Jin-woo sat on the floor, back against the bathtub, shirt off, bandaging a knife wound on his side, alive, bleeding, but alive. Jane? He looked up, surprised. Why are you here? I thought you'd left. I came back. What happened? Mrs. Choi sent someone after you left. One man, professional. We fought. I won, barely. He winced, tightening the bandage. Let me help. She knelt beside him, took over the bandaging, her hands surprisingly steady. You should have gotten on the plane, he said quietly. I figured something out, something important. She met his eyes. Mrs. Choi knew about Kim Tae-young before I told her. She was testing me, which means someone else already told her. Someone in this apartment. Jin-woo went very still. Who? I don't know yet, but whoever it is has been reporting everything to her. Every conversation we've had, every secret you've shared with me, everything. That's impossible. The only people who have access are... He stopped, face changing. Who? My head of security, Yoon Sung-min. He's been with me for 5 years. I trusted him completely. Jin-woo's jaw tightened. He was the one who helped me bury Kim Tae-young. Where is he now? I sent him away after the attack this morning, told him to trace Mrs. Choi's movements, to find out how she knew to hit us today. He grabbed his phone, dialed, waited. Sung-min, come to the apartment, now. No, I don't care about the trace. Get here. He hung up. If he's the traitor, he won't come, Jane said. If he's the traitor, I need to know. They waited. 15 minutes. 20. Then the door opened. Sung-min entered, mid-40s, nondescript, the kind of face you forget. He saw Jane, saw Jin-woo's bandaged side. His expression didn't change. You called, boss? I need to ask you something, Jin-woo said, voice calm. How did Mrs. Choi know about Kim Tae-young? Sung-min didn't even blink. I have no idea. Really? Because the only people who knew were you and me, and I didn't tell anyone until I told Jane, which means either Jane is lying about Mrs. Choi's reaction, or I am the traitor. Sung-min smiled, actually smiled. Took you long enough to figure it out. In one smooth motion, he pulled a gun, aimed at Jin-woo. Don't, Jane said, standing, putting herself between them. Move, Sung-min said. No. I don't want to kill you, Miss Thompson. You were just a pawn, an exceptionally useful pawn, but still, move aside and you live. Why? Jin-woo asked, voice cold. Why betray me? Because Mrs. Choi paid better, because she promised me power when you fell, because you've gone soft. All your talk about going legitimate, minimizing harm, it's weak. Your father would be ashamed. My father was a monster. Your father was strong. You're not. You let this foreign woman into your home, into your bed. She was never in my bed, Jin-woo cut in. Not that it's your business. You care about her. That's enough. That's weakness, and weakness gets you killed in this world. You taught me that. 5 years ago, when you had me kill Park Soo-young, remember him? Your father's advisor who questioned your leadership. You had him executed. No trial, no mercy. You were ruthless then. What happened? I grew a conscience. Conscience is a luxury for the weak. Mrs. Choi understands that. When she takes over, we'll go back to the old ways. Real power, real fear. You're using him, Jane said. You know that, right? Once you get what you want, you're dead too. Maybe, but at least I'll die with honor. Not like this, not weak and pathetic, clinging to some ridiculous fantasy of redemption. Sung-min cocked the gun. Goodbye, boss. The gunshot was loud in the small bathroom, but it didn't come from Sung-min's gun. Sung-min looked down, blood spreading across his chest, looked up, confused. Behind him stood a woman, older, Korean, holding a smoking gun, Mrs. Choi. Sung-min fell, dead before he hit the ground. Mrs. Choi stepped over his body, lowered her weapon, looked at Jin-woo and Jane. He was right about one thing, she said calmly. He was useful, and now he's not. Why? Jin-woo demanded. Why kill your own man? Because the game changed. Mrs. Choi looked at Jane. When you came back, when you ran through the airport to warn him, when you put yourself between that gun, you changed the game. I don't understand, Jane said. I've been watching Jin-woo for years, waiting for him to show weakness, real weakness, and finally, he did. He fell in love with you. That should have been his downfall, but instead, she smiled. Instead, you made him stronger. You came back. You protected him. You're not leverage anymore. You're a liability to me. So you kill Sung-min to tie up loose ends, Jin-woo said. I kill Sung-min because he failed, and because I'm about to make you an offer. Mrs. Choi holstered her weapon. I'm old, I'm tired, and I don't want a war. You've proven you're willing to change, to adapt, To be ruthless when necessary, but not cruel for cruelty's sake. That's rare, valuable. What's your offer? The offer is simple. Mrs. Choi looked at Jane again. She stays, publicly, as your partner, not hidden, not shameful, visible. It sends a message. Jin-woo is strong enough to protect what he loves. That's real power. That's what my enemies need to see. Silence. You want me to use her as a symbol, Jin-woo said flatly.
I want you to be honest about what she is to you. And I want everyone to know that attacking her means war with both of us. That's not using her. That's protecting her. Properly. I can speak for myself, Jane interjected. Both of them looked at her. This whole time, everyone's been deciding my fate. What I see, where I go, whether I live or die. I'm done with that. Fair enough, Mrs. Choi said. What do you want? I want to go home to London, visit my mother, make sure she's okay, and then I want to come back here, not as a prisoner, not as a pawn, as someone choosing to be here, with Jin-woo, if he'll have me. Jin-woo stared at her. After everything that's happened? After everything that's happened, I know exactly who you are, what you've done, what you're capable of, and I'm choosing you anyway. Not because I have to, because I want to. I nearly got you killed. And I betrayed your trust. We're even. She held out her hand. Partners? Jin-woo looked at her hand, at her face, at this impossible woman who'd turned his world upside down. He took her hand. Partners. London, 6 months later. Jane Thompson sits in her mother's garden. The garden she bought with blood money from a Korean Mafia boss. The garden where her mother tends roses that bloom despite the impossible odds. Her mother, Diane, is in remission. The experimental treatment worked. She's weak still, but alive, fighting, surviving. He treats you well? Diane asks, pouring tea. This Jin-woo? He does. And you love him? Jane considers the question. Love. The word feels too simple for what they have, too clean. I understand him. He understands me. We've both seen darkness and survived it. That's better than love. That's recognition. My wise daughter, Diane smiles. When do you go back? Tomorrow, there's a fundraiser, Children's Hospital. Jin-woo is the main donor. He needs me there. Needs or wants? Both. They sit in comfortable silence, the London sun warm on their faces. This garden, this moment, bought with blood and betrayal and an impossible choice. Do you regret it? Diane asks, opening that door? Jane thinks about it, really thinks. June 3rd, 2021, 2:47 p.m., the moment that changed everything. No, she says finally. I thought I was witnessing a murder, but I was actually witnessing a birth. Mine, his, ours. Everything before that door was survival. Everything after has been living, real living. Even when it's dangerous? Especially when it's dangerous. Safe is comfortable, but dangerous means you're alive enough to be scared, alive enough to choose, alive enough to matter. Diane reaches over, squeezes her daughter's hand. Then I'm glad you opened that door, and I'm glad you came back. Me too, Mum. Me too. Seoul, the next evening. Jane lets herself into the penthouse. She has her own key now, has had it for months. The doors are unlocked, always have been. Jin-woo is at his desk, working. He looks up when she enters, smiles. Not the cold smile from before, something warmer, real. How's your mother? Good. She sends her love, and her warning that if you hurt me, she'll fly to Seoul and kill you herself. Cancer survivor rage is apparently formidable. I believe it. He stands, crosses to her, pulls her into a hug. No pretense, no performance, just them. I missed you, he says into her hair. I missed you too. They stand there, in the apartment where it all began, where she'd witnessed a murder and become a prisoner and fallen in love with her captor and chosen to stay anyway. The alliance is holding, Jin-woo says. Mrs. Choi is keeping her word. We've eliminated 3 rival operations together. The city is stabilizing. And your attempts to go legitimate? Slower than I'd like, but happening. The hospital fundraiser tomorrow is part of it, showing we can give back, build instead of just destroy. He pulls back, looks at her. I couldn't do this without you. Yes, you could. You just wouldn't want to. True. He touches her face, gentle, reverent. Jane Thompson, the woman who walked through the wrong door and changed everything. Do you ever wish I'd stayed out? That you'd just killed me like you planned? Every day, he says. Then, at her expression, I'm kidding. Never. Not once. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, even if you're also the most terrifying. How am I terrifying? Because you make me want to be bitter, want to deserve you. That's terrifying. Monsters can be monsters forever, but people who want to change, we might fail. We might not be strong enough. That possibility of failure, that's terrifying. Then we'll fail together and get back up together and try again together. Partners? Partners. He kisses her, finally, after 6 months of dancing around it, after everything that's happened, after all the blood and betrayal and impossible choices. The kiss tastes like redemption, like hope, like 2 people who've seen the worst of each other and chosen to stay anyway. Outside, Seoul glitters. Inside, 2 people who shouldn't work somehow do. A mafia boss learning to be human, a witness learning to be seen, both finding something they didn't know they needed, someone who understands the shape of their darkness and loves them anyway. This is a true story. Some details have been changed, some names altered, but the core is real. A woman opened a door she shouldn't have, saw something she couldn't unsee, was held prisoner by a man who offered her an impossible choice. She chose to stay, not because she had to, but because in that apartment, in that impossible situation, she found something most people never find. Someone who sees her completely and values what they see. Jane Thompson still lives in Seoul, still works with Jin-woo, though her role has evolved. She's now the public face of their charitable foundation, the bridge between Jin-woo's dark past and his attempted light future. Jin-woo is still the head of his organization, still makes difficult choices, still operates in shades of gray, but he's changing, slowly, trying to build instead of just control, trying to minimize harm, trying to deserve the woman who chose him despite everything. Mrs. Choi kept her word. The alliance holds. Together, they've created a more stable underworld, less violence, more structure. It's not perfect, it's not clean, but it's better than what was before. And sometimes, better is enough. Jane's mother is in full remission. She visits Seoul twice a year, has grudgingly accepted Jin-woo, mainly because she sees how her daughter lights up around him, how she's finally truly alive. The apartment where it all happened is still home. The office where Jane witnessed a murder is now a library, full of books, full of light, full of proof that darkness can be transformed. Some prisons have no walls. Some captors hold you not with locks, but with understanding. Some witnesses become participants in the story they were only meant to observe. And sometimes, the wrong door leads exactly where you're supposed to be.
Jane and Jin-woo are still together. They've requested privacy. Like, share, and subscribe. Jin-woo's organization has reduced violent incidents by 67% in 3 years. The charitable foundation has donated over $50 million to Seoul hospitals and schools.
3 other women have come forward with similar stories, foreign workers who witnessed crimes and were offered the same impossible choice. All 3 are alive. All 3 stayed. Some patterns are harder to see when you're inside them. Some stories have no clear heroes or villains. Some love stories start with terror and end with truth. This was one of them. Thank you for watching. If you know someone trapped, whether by circumstance, fear, or impossible choice, remember, the doors are always unlocked. The prison is often in our minds. And sometimes the person you're most afraid of is the one who can set you free, but only if you're brave enough to stay and find out.